Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. Please donate to keep independent journalism going. It is only through your actual donations that channels like these are actually alive. Is Bernie Sanders actually popular? Or is there something else going on that millennials, his biggest supporters, just don't know? Bernie Sanders puts himself out as a democratic socialist. And when people try to pin him down and say, so that means you are a socialist, he says, no, I'm a democratic socialist. Well, we go throughout history and we actually then look at the speeches and what the socialist leaders of the world actually call themselves, and lo and behold, they call themselves democratic socialists. So, Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Now, here's a problem. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page. The definition of socialism is government ownership of the means of production, or government running businesses. A recent study showed that millennials like socialism to the tune of 55%, or 57%, or 60%, depending on whose study that you actually pay attention to. However, the millennials didn't know anything about any of the socialist leaders, didn't know any history about the rise and fall of socialism in countries around the world. 60% knew nothing about infamous socialist leaders. Nothing. The socialist leaders were actually named, and the millennials could not respond to give you any sort of history or facts about that particular person. 60% had no idea what socialism even meant. 60% had no idea what socialism actually meant. The Washington Post printed the findings of an extensive study that found that the millennials were categorically not educated on what socialism is. And when asked directly about actual policy and personal income and taxes, were almost 70% conservative according to their answers. Now that means when the actual pollster or the survey or the researchers said, would you pay for this? The millennial would say no. And they would say no, and they would say no, and they would say no. All of those answers coincided with what conservatives and libertarians say. That is a surprise. So let's go over just briefly. I promise you it's not going to be boring. Now, only 32% said they would like government managing businesses. When it actually came down to defining socialism itself, only 32% said they would like government managing businesses. When they actually finally got to understanding what socialism was, so 60% said that they were in favor of socialism, just right off the cuff, right? When the actual surveyors and the researchers said socialism is government running businesses, then that all flipped. And here's another thing that flipped. They did an observation. Another study did an observation. The poorer the millennial was, the more he was in favor of raising taxes and providing services for poorer people. And the cutoff point was pretty early. As millennials started earning $40,000 a year to $50,000 a year, all of a sudden, they oppose income redistribution, including raising taxes to help assist the poor. 57% liked higher insurance premiums to pay for the uninsured while they were on their parents' health insurance. But when they had to pay for the insurance themselves, 59% opposed higher premiums to help pay for the uninsured. Isn't that a shocker? 54%, so then overwhelming majority, liked government offering more and more services offered to the public if the taxes were hidden. However, 57% opposed raising taxes to offer more services to the public and larger government. If they came right out and said they're going to raise taxes. 57% were in favor of lowering taxes, reducing government, and offering fewer services if they knew what the taxes actually were. Isn't that a shocker? That was posed to the same exact people. So when they described the actual scenario and came right out and said, this is what this actually means, the same exact millennials who said that literally seconds before said that they were in favor of the government being bigger, offering more services, they came out and said that they were opposed to it. Almost to the person. So it's 54% in favor of it, and then 57% opposed to it once they actually phrased the question in a direct questionnaire. Now here's a shocker. Even after saying the government has to be bigger and offer more services and they have to raise taxes, only 37% were in favor of it. The other percent left over were unsure. They would have to look at it. Now here's another shocker, and the final shocker. When they actually gave the concise definition of socialism and directly started asking about income and taxes and raising taxes and giving direct financial questions, doing a math, doing it right in your head and being open about it, they found that an overwhelming majority, 60%, were opposed to socialist policies and having a socialist government. 67%. And all of the answers coincided with what conservatives or Republicans or even libertarians are promoting, i.e. smaller government, not offering services, personal responsibility for yourself, and personal financial freedom and responsibility for you and your family. And there you have it. So then the question is, are millennials actually socialist? Are millennials actually even liberal? And the answer seems to be no. Once you explain everything to them, they are not. So then you say, well, who is? And it seems to be the case that it's only the super duper rich who are in favor of paying more tax. Like Warren Buffett saying that he needs to have his taxes raised. It seems that only the super rich are in favor of paying more taxes. The average American, once you explain and show that their taxes are going to go up, they have to pay for people who do not work, who can work, then they're opposed to it. So I would say to you that perhaps the huge support and popularity of Bernie Sanders is AstroTurf. Thank you for watching. Be sure that you thumbs up the video, subscribe, and please donate to the channel. Thank you.